Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. Uh, Welcome to the channel. I'm Turtle, and today we're going to be doing a video of Core Set 2020 Sealed. So you may notice some increased playback speed. This was previously recorded, and I'm just playing it back as I provide commentary and talk about decisions that were made during the matchup. So the pool was pretty good. You'll notice that we have some pretty powerful bombs: Drakaseth, Maw Flames, Omnath, Locust of the Royal, and a card that I'm pretty interested to see in Standard, Risen Reef. The deck, three colors, does have one piece of mana fixing in the Gift of Paradise. Actually, a couple if you count Gift of Paradise, Rapacious Dragon. And we also have access to the cards. There's the portal artifact, and then also the Agent of Treachery. So we get into the matches here. The hand having two lands, I think, was maybe kind of a risky keep. We just wanted one land to be able to start playing at least the Warden Elos Isle, but we would be missing a green to be able to make any to play the Risen Reef. But here, since I know I may have a slow hand, I'm really just interested in trying to make blocks get the opponent's creature off the board, so we're not taking too much damage over the long run. So opponent there, the first time they use the trick, second time they hold up the, they don't do anything, but they play the creature the next turn. And I notice that I want to try to keep them off lands. So the option here was to play the Sleep Paralysis to lock down the Scuttlebutt. Just buys us more time and keeps the opponent from playing bigger threats. So nothing to do here except get down the portal. The synergy between Portal of Sanctuary and Agent of Treachery should be pretty powerful if we can get to the 7 mana. That would basically allow us to play the Agent, steal something, bounce with the Portal for 1 mana, continue to play the Agent over and over again with all the opponent's threats. So here, using the Reduced to Ashes, we just over the course of the long game, I just want to protect my life total, make sure that I don't die before I get the chance to cast anything relevant. So 5 damage turn would have been too much, so we went ahead and burned. Went ahead and used the burn spell on the Dagger Seal. So here we are getting land drops off of the Risen Reef. Again, pretty powerful card. Definitely worth seeing. Should definitely see Standard play. And here I know that the opponent is holding up the Ember Hauler, but I want to take the opportunity to try to bounce the Risen Reef so I can make a play of potentially make a play of Risen Reef and Omnath in the same turn if a force comes off. But if the opponent does want to use the Ember Hauler to go ahead and trade off with the Risen Reef, I think I'm okay with that. So we got the first Agent of Treachery down and the bounce, stealing the Dagger Seal. And the opponent just knows anything that they play from here on, we're just going to continue to do the same thing, so they'll never get a threat onto the board. On to game 2. So the hand I think I decided to mulligan. There just wasn't going to be anything relevant going on. Maybe probably a risky keep. And here we send the goblin. Yeah, we send the goblin to the bottom just because we would have to draw, get into a mountain to be able to even play it. And I don't think I wanted the card clog up my hand. If I didn't draw a mountain, then it wouldn't be really impactful late game. So go ahead and send that to the bottom. And here again, you can see every time the Risen Reef hits the battlefield, you're just guaranteed value through ramp, clearing a land off the top, or putting a card in your hand. Still missing red mana. The winged words is nice, knowing that we have the warden the opponent didn't attack in. I think if the opponent had attacked in with their vulture, I might have been inclined to trade, but since they didn't, we do get access to a cheaper winged words, which allows us to cast the winged words and hold up convolute. So a big 4/4 on considering our board state, definitely worth countering, using up all our mana. Not interested in trading here. If we draw more elementals or have more elementals, I just definitely want to be able to take advantage of the Risen Reef. And here the board is basically stabilized, so now we have all the time in the world to start hitting these mountains. And as the board stands, once Omnath does come down, it is worth 3 damage. So alright, so not interested in trading. I really just want to hit a mountain so that I can use the Omnath to get that vulture off the board. And now we're also in the territory of Omnath being worth a card for every land that comes into play. So I did use the burn there on the Death Touch. So now that I think about it, the decision was probably so that I could just go ahead and start pressuring the opponent, getting damage in. Whereas the opponent doesn't have great attacks, if they would likely just have to sit back on defense if I can get the Force Claw to start pressuring. But they bring the Death Toucher back. I think that's fine. We'll continue to get value off the Omnath. And here there's no trample involved, so do we attack with the Force Claw? No, okay. I guess it's not worth giving up the Force Claw to the 1/1 Death Toucher when I am so close to playing the Law of Flames anyway. So Unsummon is nice. Unsummon will definitely buy time to get to where we need to be on lands. So I'm considering whether or not to bounce the Risen Reef with the Unsummon here. It does reset the Risen Reef, but we're not attacking with it anyway. So since I'm not going to block with it, I'm not going to attack with it, whether it's a 3/3 or a 1/1 doesn't really make any difference. I really just want to use the unsummon and try to get some more value and get closer to Maw Flame, since the card should save us in this game. So another attack step from the opponent. Undead Servant, not relevant on this board. And a Sorcerer, which is relevant on this board, seeing as how low the life total is. So we throw the block in front of the Vulture, protect the life total. And then, at least in limited, I don't think Scampering Scorcher is a card that would see standard play, but you be able to see the value of Scampering Scorcher alongside a card like Risen Reef, where you can get so many triggers just off of one card. So here I was worried about a removal spell when they highlighted the Maw Flames. And we'll see whether or not the opponent attacks. I don't think they can attack. If they had held up mana and attacked, I'm not sure if I would have blocked or not. I wouldn't have been thinking about Gruesome Scourger. I would have been thinking about Fathom Fleet Cutthroat. And I'm not certain I would have thrown my Drakaseth in front of the Vulture, knowing that they could follow up with a Fathom Fleet and kill them all. So here we play the Scorcher. We get our value, and the Healer of the Glade is nice. It's 3 life plus an additional trigger. Gets us out of range of the Sorcerer's Fang, but the intent would have been to kill the Sorcerer's Fang on this attack anyway. So we serve in. We're not worried about getting the Death Touchers off the field right now. I'm worried about getting the lethal creatures, lethal and biggest creatures off. And the Maw Flame is, I mean, it's basically like a, what was the card we used to have? Glory Bringer on steroids. And I'm not sure if it's good enough for standard, unless maybe you can find some ramp strategy or something like that. But for sure in limited, it has to be answered, and the opponent doesn't have one. So move on to the next game. So again, we have another hand with 2 lands and spells. Without something to go alongside of it, the portal is kind of basically just a dead card. But this is a much better hand. We have the ramp, we have all 3 colors. And we have decent plays to make. The Goblin goes to the bottom because I'd rather the Gift of Paradise be my turn 3 play. We're already going to reach to the board, and I want to make sure that I'm using my turn 3 as effectively as possible, which is definitely the Gift of Paradise. We have a lot better cards that we can draw to. So here I'm going to offer the trade. I didn't want the opponent to, if they wanted to trade with the Soul Mender, I think I'm fine with that in case they have a deck where they have a lot of life gain synergies. The Soul Mender would just would have been a very valuable card for that. And here our Lavakin Brawler sort of just basically dominates this board, so we're good to sit tight for a while we buy time for the Maw Flames and have the Convolute to hold up. And this is worth convoluting. We don't want to lose our board presence as it is. Here, Vortex is probably better than pulling a mountain off the top or another land off the top to be able to play the Maw Flames. And the reason I say that is because the opponent, if they have a removal spell like one of the pacifisms or the Eternal Isolation, then they would definitely be inclined to use it on the Vortex Claw. So it gets the gives us a significant board advantage, while at the same time soaking up a removal spell so that we don't just lose the Maw Flames as soon as we play it. Still missing that land drop though, so here the Omnath Locust Rage can take care of the Angel with 2 damage. And we'll start getting in. If the opponent wants to trade off the Sentry and the Wolf, then I'm fine with that. Not completely a 2-for-1, but not really worried about the Ferocious Pup, so mostly a 2-for-1. So we lose the Vortex Claw. We can't really make any relevant attacks. So here we are, just waiting on one more land. And there's our land. So we'll add a counter to the Lavakin. Play the Maw. See if we can get this game next turn. So I don't really know what to put on my radar for this attack from the opponent, except that maybe they just have some small pump spell, trying to gain a bunch of life. But turned out to be a Might of Masses. It's fine. And here we don't have to worry about killing the Cavalier of Dawn. Because we did the sleep paralysis, so we just use the triggers, kill a bunch of stuff. And opponent gives up to the Maw. Alright, this is an easy keep. We can play the Wing Words on turn 3, draw into more cards, and we have all 3 colors, which when you're playing 3-color deck, 3 lands with all 3 colors is usually pretty hard to turn down. And thankfully not under any significant pressure, so we'll just continue to hit the land drops. So here the opponent tapped out, and I forgot how hexproof worked. So while the opponent didn't have access to 1 mana to activate the Barkhide Troll for hexproof, I went ahead and threw the sleeping paralysis on the troll so that I didn't have to worry about it anymore. So I'm pretty sure the way that it should work is that if at any point the opponent did decide to activate the Barkhide Troll, then the hexproof would cause the enchantment to just fall off. Fortunately, the opponent didn't seem to know that either. So he just went the rest of the game with not having to worry about the Barkhide Troll. Not interested in making a trade, trying to trade off 2-for-1 just yet, but it was definitely worth consideration. Trading off the Spitter and the Bird Grabber for the Centaur Courser. But here we'll be able to grow the Omnath so that we have favorable blocks if the opponent decides to attack in. And we're not in terrible danger. We still have 2 good removal spells in hand. So we do make the double block. And again, I'm thinking about Fathom Fleet Cutthroat. I want Omnath to die to that. But opponent just plays a saddle. And we find the Reef. So we should have enough mana for Reef plus Sleep Paralysis here. But I guess the Healer of the Glade coming off the top changed my decision. Gain some life, get better blocks, continue to get card advantage. And there we have the agent. Alright, so opponent's still trying to attack into this board. Being at 8, I didn't see any reason to continue to take too much damage. But there's an Agonizing Siphon, so that was the card that they were holding up before. But we draw the agent and we draw the portal to combo with the agent, so we should be good from here on out. There's a Wake-Root Elemental. So here could play the Maw or something like that, but I don't want to give the opponent the opportunity to activate the Wake-Root, get any lands. Attacking us 5/5 is hard to do. So I think best answer here is to just reduce it to ashes, get it off the board. Since we have the Agent of Treachery anyway, no real reason to hold up the reduced ashes. So. What was that 4-0 moving on to game 5? This should be an easy keep. We've got 1 drop. We've got the Gift of Paradise for the fixing. And plenty of elementals for the Lavakin Brawler. Okay. So nothing really happening for the opponent here. Nothing too scary anyway. So I think it's more important to get down the brawler so that we can start making some attacks and pressure. Two lands away from the Agent of Treachery. Although there's nothing really on this board yet that I'd consider I need to throw it down for. Yeah, anyway. Without a portal in hand, you just really want to be really conservative with cards like that, because you never know. You never know when if we would draw the portal to be able to bounce it back. So and here I think it's worth dealing with the soldier token. The Lavacan Brawler wouldn't have been able to attack through it anyway because of the toughness only at 4, so it just trade straight up. So the Burn to Ashes is not really a 2-for-1 because all we did was kill the token. We didn't actually get rid of the actual artifact that was left behind, or the wolf token that was created by the enchantment in the first place. So so I think at this point the opponent might have just stopped playing. Not sure what happened there. At least based on the board state, they weren't at that point. They weren't necessarily way behind or anything, but they just sort of stopped responding. So this was a pretty synergistic pool. We had a decent amount of bombs and some pretty good synergy. Also, we were fortunate to not really have to mulligan too much and have good draws, good opening hands. So usually a recipe for success. But I did want to note that my pool also had a black-white life gain deck in it. And I think the black-white life gain deck was actually pretty good. It's definitely something that was playable, but the only thing about it was that it didn't have the quality of powerful cards that the teamer deck had. So I did look at both and give both some thought, but the teamer deck was just kind of over the top. So opponent's name is See You Later. I guess he just walked away. Maybe disconnected, who knows? I shouldn't say that. Alright, so what do I think about this hand? This should be keepable. We're not going to be able to play the Scorch Spitter. but we have the Warden and the Gift of Paradise, so the unsummon can buy some time if we absolutely need to. I'm not sure what was more important to get down, the Warden or the Gift of Paradise. Okay, so value the ramp here. Just fine. This will definitely allow us to play 2 cards in 1 turn. So here we're going to put a Bodkin and we're going to hold up the unsummon. That way the opponent, if they do decide to attack in with a trick, holding up some sort of trick, then we can block and unsummon. Get the trick out of their hand. Here on this attack, the question is, do we trade Brawler for Crasher? And if something goes wrong, then we can just unsummon in response. So I think this block is fine. And the opponent plays a Timsis. Don't have any way to deal with it, so kind of under the gun a little bit here. So the portal, not super relevant here, but we'll go ahead and bounce the Nemesis. As soon as I played the unsummon, I considered whether or not I should have been bounce the, just to take the damage. Opponent couldn't have done anything with the trigger, the combat damage trigger anyway, so maybe just take the damage and then wait for the chance to draw a convolute and then unsummon so I could convolute it on the way down. So maybe the unsummon was a little bit hasty. And there, as soon as they play it back, I play it down, I draw the convolute again. So at this point, I don't have any attacks. I'm considering just holding up the counterspell and then playing using the destructive dagger to try to dig for an answer. Here this time we do take the damage. And here we were fortunate to have the convolute for the Gargos instead of the Sphinx. So all worked out in the end. And there's the burn spell. So get the Sphinx on the board and start pressuring a little bit. Alright, so here we get hit by a feral invocation. Lose both creatures in the double block. I think it's fine. I still would have offered up that trade anyway. Or I would, I think it was right to offer that trade. We can at least get the trick out of the opponent's hand so that if they are holding up a trick, it's not a problem later. And what we lost was not really super. We didn't really lose any creatures that were too valuable to it. So I think it's fine. Alright, so the attack comes in again. Probably still some trick going on here. We'll see what it is. Alright, so they play their first growth cycle. Have to consider if they play a growth cycle, then how many are there, but how many could they be playing? But fortunately, we draw the agent off the top, and we can just end the the Sentinel's rampage. Sleep paralysis, and there we have our own portal now. So from this point on, anything that comes down, we're just going to bounce the agent, play the agent, bounce the agent, play the agent. The auto tap used the mana from the Gift of Paradise so that I couldn't make the play of bounce the Risen Reef, play the Risen Reef after the portal hit the field. So, you know, just kind of watch out for the auto tapper. Make sure that you think about what it is that you want to be doing with your meta before the auto tapper taps the wrong colors for you. Right, so there's a mulligan to 6. This is keepable, and I think the Agent of Treachery is just, you know, we don't really have any signs of having a way to cast it anytime soon, so send that to the bottom so it doesn't become a liability. Keep our cheaper cards. So Steel Overseer, I didn't really want to see a card like Steel Overseer, knowing the opponent's just gonna grow it until we can't do anything about it, and especially since we sent a card like the Agent to the bottom. But it doesn't mean that there aren't answers available to us, you know, like after the opponent thinks it's big enough to start doing something relevant, then when you know you can unsummon it. Just have to be careful if it starts to get out of our burn range. So the board state starting to look pretty intimidating here. The Steel Overseer still can't attack, but the Pack Mastiff is capable of trading with the Brawler. We'll draw some more cards, start getting some answers, and we find the maw that we can play on the next turn. So. Alright, so the unsummon, I'm not really, I mean, the unsummon is not really a problem here because we're just going to stabilize the board again anyway with the maw. I think playing the maw because of the air elemental is more important than just trying to play the brawler and a portal, or just make two plays like brawler and scorch spitter. So once we get the maw down, then it can just take over the game. But the opponent has a second unsummon, and now we are in a bit of trouble. So we have to consider the Steel Overseer doing damage, the Air Elemental doing damage, and the Pack Mastiff pumping. So the biggest creature on this board is the Pack Mastiff, coming in for 5 damage, I believe. So can we take, we're just obligated to take 10 damage here and block the Mastiff, I believe. And down to 7 on the board. So here we may have to start playing play 2 creatures so that we can get a board presence. If we play the maw, then we are just dead to the Mastiff and another creature. So we have the Scorch Spitter and the Locust together can take the Mastiff off the table. Then we are taking 4 in the air, down to 3. We have a chump block for the Overseer, and the Omnath can block the Scorch Spitter. So we're actually going down to 2 here if they attack with everything. But knowing that we have the Maw Flames in our hand, they might feel obligated to try to get this game over with as soon as possible. So down to 2, and the sleep paralysis is nice. Like, we could just sleep paralysis the actual air elemental itself and then just chump block with Omnath the next turn. But I'm not sure if it's necessarily a winning line. So here I think it's just more important to Maw, block the air elemental. I mean, if they have a removal spell for the Maw, then we're just dead anyway. But if that was the case, then we would be dead to the same removal spell for Omnath. If we had played the sleep paralysis on the flyer. So here, just considering if we should be attacking, if they have something to save the elemental, like maybe a card like Infuriate, then we're dead on the backswing. But we are in a position where we can't win the game by sitting back, especially at 2 life. The opponent could have cards like Shock in their deck, burn to the face. So turns out we stabilized and we're able to use the Maw to to take the game back over. So, thanks for joining me on this recording. And if you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, and share. Feel free to comment on what you think of the deck and any of your limited experiences. I'll be going to pre-release this weekend, so I've been playing a lot of arena pre-releases, but my cards are going to have to be in Japanese, so I need to get as familiar with the cards as possible. So hope everybody has fun at pre-release this weekend. Again, thanks for joining me, and see you next time.